We all know Dracula. You don't need to be a fan of Castlevania to know who the most famous vampire in the history of fiction and horror is. The man is a staple of the living dead and has had many iterations from different forms of media for generations. From novels to Hollywood films, comic books, and animation, even to the point that certain characters are based upon his existence, like Blackula, the Count, and even Count Chocula. When it comes to the Netflix adaptation, this iteration of Dracula, like most of the main characters in the series, is a complex and fleshed out individual. He stands alone in many aspects, but like literally alone though. In this video, I want to look deeper and dissect the type of individual in the Netflix series we got, deeper into Vlad Dracula Tepes. Let's get it. Yo. In the very first episode of the series, it's very evident the iteration of Dracula took many influences throughout history and his history in media, starting off with the actual famed and rumored prince or military governor, Vlad the Impaler, whose cruel methods of punishing his enemies gained notoriety in 15th century Europe. Such methods were mirrored in the first scene of the series, opening to a field of impaled remains of humans on sharp stakes surrounding the lone towering mechanical castle in the middle of a barren field, leading inevitably to Lisa making her way to the front gate to meet with the rumored individual inside. At the top of the stairs is a tall man looking down at her, and after hearing her first words iterating that she is in the pursuit of medical advancements through science, the dark individual unveils himself through the darkness as Vlad Dracula Tepes, which is a reference to the many aliases that Vlad the Impaler was known by. Vlad III, Vlad III Dracula, or simply Vlad Tepes. Vlad was the second of 4 brothers born into the noble family of Vlad II Dracul. His sobriquet, Dracula, meaning son of Dracul, was derived from Draco, after his father's induction into the Order of the Dragon, created by Holy Roman Emperor Sigismund for the defense of Christian Europe against the Ottoman Empire. As Dracula and Lisa exchange words of banter, they slowly but surely begin to warm up to each other through common exchange. Lisa offers Dracula the opportunity to rebuild his relationship and take a different perspective to further his knowledge on the ever-evolving human species by travel and exploration. In exchange, Dracula will provide his vast well of scientific knowledge tucked deep in his domain and away from prying eyes to Lisa, so she may further her studies in modern medicine. The technology and scientific tools showcased in the scene are reminiscent of Carmila's castle in Lords of Shadow 1, which was inherited by Gabriel Belmont after becoming Dracula himself in Lords of Shadow 2. Ironically, because although his name was not Vlad Tepes in the game, he took on the alias of Dracul, referring to himself as the Dragon.
I am the Dragon, Dracul!
Similar to the family of Vlad the Impaler, whose sobriquet was derived from Draco, meaning dragon in Latin. Then, inevitably, the church came for Lisa, labeling her as a witch and burning her at the stake. Same way throughout medieval European history that religion always found a way to intervene with the progress of science through the practice of propaganda and superstition in order to control the masses. The bishop and his clergymen seeing Lisa's tools and stating them as witches' things. Fool. Even though Lisa informs them these are modern tools of science. Finally, Lisa meets her demise burning alive on display in the capital city of Targovishta in 1475. Ironically around the same time and place that Vlad the Impaler was rumored governing ruler. All of this taking place as Dracula himself was on his way home from exploring the world, as suggested by his newfound wife. In his burning rage, too late to save his wife that night, he has resolved to genocide on humankind, even as to attack and ostracize Alucard, the only remnant of his late wife that he had left. All of this taking place in the first episode, setting the precedent of Dracula's purpose in the Netflix Castlevania series, that he is, and is meant to be, alone. Season 2 helped make this very apparent, as we were given the opportunity to explore Dracula's mental state after following events in the first episode. His relationship with his subordinates, the 2 Forge Masters, vampire generals, and humankind itself. His crusade with the humans was frowned upon, and even though it came off as genocide due to his agitation and frustration with human nature, he mainly had enough of the Wallachians given by his speech here.
Wallachia will now become our seat. we will scour them off the land. We will continue to use the Night Hordes, all the creatures of terror that humanity once drove away. Afterwards, I think I will give Wallachia to them. Perhaps that will be better.
They simply mistook what he said and didn't dissect his words properly enough to trust the process. His wife Lisa was from Lupu, a small village in Wallachia, the first stop in her crusade to bring scientific advancements in medicinal practice, which kinda drew the attention of the clergy, inevitably leading to her demise in order to fuel the grip of the church on the minds of the people, but simultaneously fueling the rage and psychological breakdown of the dragon. For it was Lisa who bridged the gap of Dracula's intolerance to humankind. She encouraged him to not paint all humans under one brush, to get out of his shell and open himself to how the world progressed in his years of solitude, resulting in him meeting and befriending the only two humans in his court, the Forge Masters, Isaac and Hector, to share and spread his wisdom to those worthy by exploring the vast wonders of the world, evident by the origination of his court who stemmed from different corners of the known world at the time, creating vampires from the Scandinavian Northlands, the Middle East, and even spreading his influence as far as the East Asia. Not to mention scaling North Africa, saving and recruiting a skilled human mage. Lastly, to gain respect he deserves through love and creating life, instead of focusing on spreading fear and destruction, by building a life with Lisa, and the end result being the vampire Adrian Tepes. All of this progress culminating to what we see in Season 2, and the genesis of it all was Lisa, which gives reason as to how it all came crashing down when she was taken from this world. I just love how the writers gave Dracula duality. I like how he was portrayed in the beginning years of the game series. A one-dimensional villain and ultimate evil that would return every 100 years to terrorize human world until a Belmont intervened. Up until Castlevania Lament of Innocence, introducing Matthias Kronvix, then again in Gabriel Belmont and Castlevania Lords of Shadow that we finally understood that there was some sort of death to this supposed Prince of Darkness. In the Castlevania games, that is. I believe the writers took inspiration for this series as Dracula from these two characters, showcasing a mix of tragedy and anti-heroism to explain that Vlad Tepes isn't evil per se. Okay, yeah, he has done horrible and unspeakable things, and operates in the dark side of the world. Yet, the true villain of Castlevania remains, and has always been, human nature. Most, if not all, vampires were once human. They also have human desires for power, respect, security, lust, love, and just like humans, they experience pain, remorse, and loss. Dracula is more than a vampire, and as Alucard explains,
my father,
Dracula,
is a man of science, a philosopher, a scholar, and knows things our society have forgotten 3 times over. Do you still not understand the enormity of what we're doing?
Similar to Matthias, who came from a family of alchemists and was considered a tactical genius as a knight, shown briefly in the scene where he transcribes glyphs on a travel mirror in his castle using his nails. The amount of tech in his experimental lab and library, hell, even the castle is a technological marvel, utilizing a mix of arcane and alchemic magic to function and travel upon Dracula's will. Alucard explaining to Sypha and Trevor how he's a walking trove of lost knowledge, and that their quest, even though it's for the greater good of humanity, it's also at a great loss to the world. Isaac as well, understanding this, was willing to forfeit his life to preserve Dracula, not only because he loved the man like a father, but considering him worth the sacrifice, if only to preserve his wealth of knowledge and wisdom, seeing his existence as a gift to the world in itself.
to save your genius, your knowledge, and your will, without question. I am just a Forge Master. Yours is the wisdom of ages.
Like Gabriel, Dracula is no ordinary vampire. While possessing the greatest strength out of all vampires throughout history, he is also an accomplished warrior surviving many hunters, specifically those from the Belmont clan, holy orders, rival vampire lords, and even surpasses speakers in arcane proficiency. If he were human, Vlad Tepes would be the ultimate paladin. Yet, like his predecessors in the game series whom he takes inspiration from, the genesis of their downfall is the love of their life. Matthias' wife dies from an illness while he was on an expedition, and as a result of being grief-stricken, he spirals down to the point of taking revenge on God for the death of his wife by becoming an immortal vampire, Dracula. Gabriel Belmont, a devoted member of the Brotherhood of Light, is motivated by the death of his wife and sets on a journey to collect holy artifacts to resurrect her from the dead. Yet throughout his quest, he finds out she can't be resurrected, and it was he who was responsible for her death, breaking him as he relinquishes humanity by drinking the blood of a vampire and claiming a forgotten demon's power to become Dracul. With losing their loved ones, these three versions of Dracula seem to have the same fate. They are powerful, feared, the greatest of their kind, but like Isaac pointed out,
You're so alone.
because their purpose in life had been taken away from them. It's a tragedy as old as a redwood tree, and it's true for most men today. The women men love become their purpose to live and allow them to be better overall. It's as Alucard mentioned here.
Imagine if he could have aimed all that knowledge at improving lives.
Imagine Dracula becoming a teacher of man, becoming a bridge to form an alliance or understanding between human and vampire kind. A sort of common ground resulting in a budding society of halfling vampires like Alucard walking the earth. Yet, that dream will never come to fruition due to Dracula losing his purpose and drive to go on. You saw how he threw away the coat he used to travel as a man, slowly losing the influence of his court, willing to cut off their main source of nourishment. Worst of all, he has lost the will to survive by not drinking blood for nearly a year and looking forward to an end.
He's gone mad. And from that, there is no recovering him.
And he's looking for release. He was going to get it one way or another, by starving himself, allowing an insurrection to take place in his court, causing genocide to disrupt the balance. Only in death would he find the release that brought him peace he desired, a peace that resided in hell of all places. Dracula is not the villain. He, like all others in the Castlevania universe, is an unfortunate victim of fate. A fate that allowed him to be the apex being, but in doing so made him stand alone into legend. Until one day the legend gained new perspective that turned into purpose. Losing Lisa shattered the stability of the known world, a stability that could have maintained if Dracula found new purpose in their son. But as Ralph Emerson said, once you make a decision, the universe conspires to make it happen. Human nature is cruel. It took his wife and it took his sanity, but fate maintained its course in keeping him forever alone. Thank you to all that stuck through to the end of the video, and I truly appreciate those that looked forward to this one. I hope it came out to your liking. It took a while to get this one done due to personal situations that got in the way of my time management. What are your thoughts on Dracula? Did you feel he was a fleshed out enough antagonist, or do you feel he was taken out prematurely? Did you find yourself being sympathetic towards him, or is he an evil no matter what? Let me know how you feel in the comments. Yo, it looks like I'm almost at the goal mark of 1,000 subscribers, man. Yo, I truly appreciate all those that find my content to be up to par to hit a like and subscribe for your boy. It would be awesome to hit that thousands to start off the new year, which will motivate me even more to drop more of the content y'all came here for. I hope you all have a great and safe holiday. You know the vibes. It's KAIZOKU SLEVEN. Appreciate you.